Hi, everyone, and welcome back to season 4 of Stand Up and Stand Out. I'm your hostess with the mostest, the Nikki Green, and we are mixing things up this season. With my new book, Chameleon Mindset, launching, I want to share more of the book's concepts with all of you. I have also been blessed to expand my network throughout the podcast community and to other inspirational speakers. I want to bring more guests on to discuss these important topics together, so we're going to mix it up, no more interview format, and we're going to have some fun. So next up, we're going to do a few fun episodes. Hope you enjoy them. And don't forget to give us a like, a follow on your favorite podcast platform. Well, hi, everyone, and welcome. Today we have Sarah as our guest, and we're very excited to do this wardrobe collab with her. For those of you that have read Chameleon Mindset already, you know we have a number of wonderful exercises in the book. And I thought I'd bring on an expert to help us with the wardrobe one. So welcome, Sarah. Good to see you again.
Great to see you too. Thank you so much for having me on your show.
Yeah, I was so impressed when I met you in Dallas at the retreat for Leadership Global and just the amazing transformation that you do for so many wonderful women and other people. And I thought this would be a great person to bring on not only to the podcast, but also to collaborate with to showcase more of what someone can do with a wardrobe transformation. So before we get into the wardrobe, though, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and your story and why you got into this wonderful business?
Sure. I have always loved the fashion industry in general. I am now 5'11", but I was tall even as a child. And so I always thought like, oh, I should be a model, but I'm only going to be a model till my early 20s because that's not a long-term career. This is, back in the 80s and 90s. So and even in high school, like I took a photography class and I was like, I appreciate photography, but I was like, I didn't feel naturally gifted at it or anything special. So I was like, I think somebody else is going to have more fun with that. And I already knew that modeling was like a very short term. I kind of volunteer modeled in college and different things like that. But and I was very interested in architecture. And in high school, when everyone says like, what do you want to do? What do you like? What do you like? And I'm like, I love clothes and I love architecture, but clothes didn't seem like a career. It seemed like fun. And I kind of looked into architecture, and I actually did apply at like the only college that had both fashion design and architecture as a major at the time. And of course, then a bunch of design schools. And got accepted, but it was in Washington University in St. Louis, Missouri. And I was like, I don't think I'm launching my fashion career from St. Louis, Missouri. No offense to this. I had never been there, anything like that. But also what I realized was, you know what? I appreciate architecture and I love architecture. But I felt like as a career, I'm like, I could see how, again, there's only so many Frank Lloyd Wrights. I feel like a lot of people probably are like planning where the wiring and the plumbing goes, make sure nobody dies, and then let's make hundreds of this same blue. The creativeness for me was like, you know what? I appreciate these things. What's that actually going to look like as a career? And so went with design and studied fashion design at FITM in Los Angeles, which I loved. But at the time, it was only a 2-year school. So I got my Associate of Arts degree and then transferred back to Texas to University of North Texas and got my Bachelor of Fine Arts. And it was really fun because I feel like LA taught you like, here's how you do the business. Here's how you have a job. Here's how you like make you do the business. And UNT was a little bit more like, yeah, sure, but let's be more artsy and let's be sure we're doing weird things. And for that, but I really enjoyed kind of getting to see both of those aspects. And when I was in Los Angeles, I did work for a designer while I was out there, which was I did everything but design. Like I did their customer service, I did, quality control, checking in things, filling orders, sending stuff out to stores. So it was very educational for me, and just loved it. So I did kind of that traditional business model of wholesaling to specialty boutiques, just that very, going to trade shows, wholesaling to boutiques, putting your clothing that. So I did that for a while. And then around 2014, 15, there were a series of events, decided to go more straight to consumer or direct to consumer for that. And so by that time I had built up some clientele and different things. So I was doing ready to wear direct to consumer for a few years. And then post COVID, over the years, I had a handful of clients that were not an off the rack size. And just because they asked and I liked them, they kind of said, oh, I'm sort of a medium here and a small here. Like, what do you suggest? And I'm like, I'll just make you a new one. Like I still have the fabric or different things, and decided that would be better than altering, doing tons of crazy alteration. And plus, I'm like, and somebody that isn't off their X size will like that one. We'll just make you one that fits you right from the beginning. You're not sacrificing any of the design lines, because when you get into heavy alterations, you can lose some of that design integrity for that, like details or where things line up. So post COVID, after kind of some reflection, really decided, you know what, who are my best clients? Who are the clients that love me? It's like, and really felt like, I was like, I've never told even when people would ask, and I'm like, don't tell anybody, but I'll do this for you, but don't let anybody else know. So really kind of flipping that and saying, you know what, these are some of my favorite clients. I enjoy working with them. They love me. Maybe I tell people that I'll do this for them and see if anybody else is interested in this. And it's been very well received. I've really enjoyed getting to know those clients and really, and again, the more one-on-one.
Well, it's so great learning more about your story, Sarah. You do so much for your clients, and we'll share some behind the scenes footage of when we were together in Dallas. But why don't you tell people a little bit about the process that you go through to work with new clients and make an outfit just for them?
Sure. Yeah. One of the really fun things about, a wardrobe, it's a combination of preferences. Sometimes I feel like, and all of the different styles and things, we still make a sample collection so you can look at examples and styles and say, oh, I love that look. And we do everything from, I love that, just make it fit me perfectly, all the way kind of in the middle is like, that's great, but you know what, I really like a long sleeve or a short sleeve or no sleeve, or I see that you have an asymmetrical hemline. I'd really like that to be straight. I'm not quite there yet for the asymmetrical. So small changes like that, all the way to, if you have a vision and dream, let's create something together. Let's make that happen for how you want to feel and how you want to look. I'm totally open. And of course, all along the way, choosing fabrics, choosing colors, the proportions fit you properly. If you're petite, it's not just short. You can't just cut it off the bottom. It is the proportion, same for that. So that does make a huge difference on how your clothes fit. And I love that that's something that we definitely do for our clients. We measure and where everything's hitting in the proportion to make sure it's fitting your unique body just right. And that's a fairly simple process, whether somebody meets via Zoom or in person. And we kind of take their measurements, and they're sort of just obviously bust, waist, hip, but inseams, outseams, where, like I always measure down either from the pit of the neck or the shoulder, like how many inches down does your bust line hit? How many inches down is your natural waist? How much down is your hip line? Again, just things to make sure, and then, circumferences of forearms and biceps and different things. Again, just because as women, especially on the rack sizing, they basically measured a few thousand women, like 3,000 women, and then just took some averages and like, that's close enough. So close enough for some people, but it doesn't really fit anybody perfectly. Obviously there are exceptions, but so I have found that has resonated a lot with my clients. And the other thing too, a lot of what I'm sure you're touching on is the power of wardrobe to really transform, to empower, and to really make you feel confident. My favorite marketing slogan growing up, it was back in like the 90s. I don't know if they're still using it or not, but I want to say it was Omega watches. It was whoever they had, like Cindy Crawford and James Bond, whoever was the Bond at the time. But their slogan, it was a picture of their watch and it said, who will you be in the next 24 hours? And I just feel like that's so powerful. And the costuming aspect of it, similar to when you see movies, when you see shows, there's a costume designer that picked out the wardrobe for that entire set. And you know why? Because when you see the best friend that comes, sits on the couch, does one thing, and then leaves, you know that person. You get a feeling, you feel like you know her. She had one line, but they have given you all this information. It's the same in business and your professional life. What do you want people to know about you? What feeling and what nonverbal communication? Not from a superficial standpoint, it's just from an observation and a congruency standpoint.
Well, and we're playing a role. I also talk about this with fitness is, when I go do, play volleyball when I was younger, I was on a team. I had a uniform, and that's how you're a part of that team. And there's a certain type of clothes. And when I started doing endurance running, I didn't wear the same thing I wore in volleyball, to go run a marathon. It just doesn't work. And I think we need to think of things that way too. And there's a comfort level. And I think that's important that you talked about that too, is so many of us just sort of put on whatever, but different things require different things as well. So we talked about when I go on stage. When you go on stage, you're going to need to be able to move and articulate and make gestures because you're trying to be a very small person in a big platform versus, me just sitting here working on my laptop. Those two things are not the same things where I can be business on the top and party on the bottom. But I love the transformations that you make for women.
Thank you so much. I feel like dressing intentionally is just such an underutilized tool, and it's so easy. And one of the things that I tell people when you think about authenticity, which is such a popular topic right now, authenticity is not, hey guys, I'm the Hot Mess Express, I'm wearing my PJs. That is not authenticity. Authenticity is what you're saying, what you're doing, how you're showing up is all the same. It's congruent. And so when your clients or the people that you run into in business, when they hear you saying, this is what I can do for you, this is what my company can do for you, this is the service I provide, or this is how I can change your life, everything else is like, yeah, I believe them.
And it's finding that right balance for you. One of my first jobs, I was doing financial planning, and mostly retirement planning for older people. I was all of 21 years old, and I'm just coming out of college. I didn't have a ton of money. And I had one of those terrible fitting blazers that made me look like I got it at the Goodwill store, which is fine. That was what I could afford at the time. But I really realized that it wasn't doing the best job to represent me and make people trust me with their money, And so my boss really sat me down and said, hey, we kind of need to make it more genuine to you. And what you're trying to do is basically wear a man's suit on a little 5'3" body. And it's not going to work. And I was so grateful for the feedback because you don't realize, and it's not that we're all trying to be the same. Look at me. I have crazy green hair right now because of my book launch. But, it's finding those unique aspects of what's the thing that you can still keep and be you, and what's the you that you can make sure you're representing the best part of you to get the job you're going after or accomplish the goal you're trying to do. Hi, everyone. Nikki Green here, and I am here to tell you that Chameleon Mindset is on its way. If you'd like to learn more about the Chameleon Mindset book, the online course that'll help keep you motivated and doing some of the fun Karate Kid exercises, go to chameleonmindsetbook.com and you'll find more information about pre-sales, bonuses, and so much more. So I just love what you're doing, and I really hope people in my audience and people that are doing the course are going to be interested. And if they'd like some more information about you, why don't you share a little bit about where they can find you, Sarah?
Sure. We have a website at sarahjones.shop, which is SARAHJONES.shop. And that is the best place to start because it gives kind of an overview or try to keep it updated on just things that, like right now, there's a video of our last photo shoot, just some kind of behind the scenes things. And some items, but we really encourage you to, if you scroll down, there's a place where you can make an appointment, and that can be via Zoom or in person if you are in the area, and would love to just chat with you what your goals are, what you're looking for. And then we can go from there on, again, if you're looking for a dress or a, jacket and pants or skirt or all this combination of things that you might want, but really would love to just do a quick 30-minute call about what you're looking for.
Oh, that's beautiful. Thank you so much, Sarah. It's been a joy to see you again. Hopefully we'll get to catch up in person sometime soon. And can't wait for my new designer wardrobe to come together in our next collaboration. Everyone for joining us today for another episode of Stand Up and Stand Out. You know you can catch us where all the cool kids hang out that do podcasts on all the major platforms. And if you want to connect with Nikki directly, you can get a hold of me on my personal site, thenikkigreen360.com. There you can check out my website, you can see any of my new books, you can learn more about this podcast, and follow us on social. Can't wait to hear from you, and we'll see you on the next episode. Bye.